Here's Jay in Fairfax, Virginia. Hi, great to have you here.
Thanks for taking my call, Rush.
You bet.
I've been listening to you since the '80s, and I appreciate you're bringing clarity, honesty, and truth to the American people. And like you, President Trump did the same thing last night. It was such a pleasure to hear from a leader who cares about people he serves. We haven't heard that for the last 8 years, in my opinion. But I have a comment and then a question that I want your opinion on.
Okay.
As we know, the left really does have a big problem, and a lot of things. I mean, it's been a great last year, a great first year for Trump. But I want to talk about tax reform and how tangible it is for the average American. From my home, it's going to mean over $3,000 more per year in our hands. That's astounding.
That's crumbs.
Okay?
That's crumbs.
Well,
that's nothing. That's crumbs. The Democrats say it's crumbs. You should be happier with a welfare check. Or maybe some assistance with your health care insurance.
Yeah.
Jay, hang on. We're starting. Your connection's wavering, but I want to keep talking to you, so you don't hang up out there. I have to take a break. Don't go away. Did you notice also Trump was applauding America last night, not himself? Trump was applauding the greatness of America, not himself. And I know this guy, Jay in Fairfax, he wants the essence of the tax cuts. He wants to talk about how meaningful it might be to people and maybe how unmeaningful to others. We'll see. And Jay in Fairfax, I'm glad you waited. You were starting to talk about taxes and how it's you get $3,000 your family means quite a bit. What were you going to talk about others who maybe don't see it this way?
Well, Rush, I think the problem is, and you know this better than most, the low information voter, the low information citizen out there, they might not even notice that they're getting $75 more a week in their paycheck or 2 weeks. So it's going to be interesting, but at some point they will. And, I think my other point about tax reform is that how this is a big problem for the left and a big problem for the Democrats is my son's a millennial. And, I texted with him this morning and said, hey, check out your paycheck. And he came back with, it's $75 more in my paycheck, and he's on 2 weeks. So that's like just under $2,000. And, he runs with a crowd of other like-minded 27-year-olds, and I'm certain that most of them don't like this president, but what they will like is this increase in their take-home pay.
I have to ask you a question. I don't have a 27-year-old. I don't have a 5-year-old. I don't have an any-year-old. I've got some nephews and nieces, but they're not off the reservation. Every one of them is a good, solid Limbaugh. I don't need to grab them and correct them and shake their shoulders. And I wondered about people who have kids who are, quote unquote, off the reservation, and how much of an opportunity you have to. I mean, you grew up, you raised them. They grew up, you raised them. And they've become what? Do you feel helpless in like if you say this guy, if your son doesn't like Trump and you do you feel like you have any influence with him now at age 27, or are those days long gone? I've got to take a break, ponder that, get the answer. We come back. And back to Jay in Fairfax. How much influence do you have with your 27-year-old anymore?
Well, look, he's a grown man. The way I look at it, Rush, my wife and I both felt our responsibility was give him a good foundation to understand right from wrong. When it gets to politics, he voted in the first election in 2008, and I'm pretty certain I know who he voted for. Okay? But a lot of people did, right? And I guess influence, I don't really try to influence them. We talk about real-life experiences, and I think those are the best influencers. And what I guess my point I wanted to make about the tax reform, money in your pocket is a real-life influencer. I don't care how little it is,
but
how much it is.
You just said the low-information people are not even going to realize they got $75 more per pay period.
Yeah, I think my son doesn't fall into that because I'm making him aware of it. So
no, I know,
don't know how many.
I know you're not talking about him being a low information voter, but you did say that you think the low information crowd, by definite people who vote Democrat, they're not even going to see it. It's going to be there, but they're not going to realize it.
Yeah, well, I guess that's a big thing for the Republicans to use as a hammer in the 2018, right?
Well, I don't know what more they can do. I mean, they've advertised a tax cut. They passed the tax cut. They signed into law the tax cut. The tax cuts happened, and people are going to have more discretionary income, more take-home pay, whatever you want to call it. Now, I can see some people, on the fringes who don't pay attention. Most people don't get pay stubs anyway. It's just direct deposit. And so how closely do they pay attention to the quote-unquote checkbook? And if they notice it, how many of them are going to think, whoa, somebody screwed up here? There's a mistake here, as opposed to realizing that they're getting a tax cut. I guess you're right. It has to continue to be sold. It has to continue to be promoted. Excellent point. I realize how hard it was for you to admit who your son voted for. I want to applaud you for the courage of that, too.